let me be perfectly honest with you. When I asked for some questions and I got the initial answers, I asked you and I said, can you help us out? Give us some video topics, please. And the first David Moyes suggestion came through. And when I say David Moyes suggestion, it wasn't what's David Moyes' favourite pizza topping. It was let's replace David Moyes or comments of that ilk. I thought, oh no. Even just with myself and Geo, we're about to record this now. I actually said to Geo, the words were, we've got to do that David Moyes video. It's so in my psyche, basically, I don't want to do it. And the reason I don't want to do it is I don't want to add fuel to the fire. Because firstly, I want David Moyes to succeed. Secondly, I want to carry on winning. I don't want to see us go through the run of form that it will probably take for David Moyes to lose his job. I think thirdly, I'm mindful that he's done really well for us, and I don't want to be seen to be heaping extra fuel on the fire. So basically, it's your fault. We're discussing this because those are the questions there. Geo's along to help me. I'm going to read the comments out now. So first of all, Steve Andrews said, good morning, Gonzo. So he's very polite about wanting Moyes out. He said, how about who should replace Moyes? He's too negative, in my opinion. I'm not saying sack him now, but if he walks away at the end of his contract or sooner, or the board decides to sack him or not renew his contract, then who's next? Now, I think Steve's been really, good about that. He's basically saying who's next on the list. There are some that are not quite as let's say as forgiving, who don't want to give David Moyes until the end of the season, that's for sure. I don't want to okay, so Joseph Stalin said the only topic worth discussing is who should be our next manager. If Villa get Poch or Tuchel, we'll become a laughingstock, West Ham, because we didn't go and get them. We've been in this situation before, by the way, Gio, when I think under Bilic, when it was certainly perceived that we dragged our heels for too long and we didn't get replacements in when we should. And then there's somebody else who's gone on to say, it's Charlie. Sorry, Charlie Date said, is Moyes under pressure again following Gerrard being sacked by Villa? There it is. If Villa get a result this weekend and then we lose, Villa go above us in the table. It's pretty clear, Gio. Again, people want to discuss this topic.
What would you like me to discuss?
Well, I'd like you to discuss firstly, do you think that the Aston Villa, and particularly Steven Gerrard situation has put not just additional pressure on Moyes, but pressure on the board? Do you think that they look at this? I guess then I want to go on and talk about potential replacements, not because I want to, because I think we probably have to. And this whole thing about managerial candidates who we might be attractive to us basically getting snapped up by other managers, other clubs who sack their manager.
No, I don't think Aston Villa will put pressure on Moyes. Will put pressure on West Ham, yeah, because they're now above us on the table and we play Monday, so they play before us, so they can leapfrog us. But if we win again on Monday, then that pressure that may have been there is gone again, surely, because we're now back above Aston Villa. I don't think so. I think you could look at the other side of the coin and say, well, what happens if Aston Villa fail to get Tuchel or Pochettino? Because the rumours are this afternoon, which is Friday afternoon, is that neither manager's interested. So you could argue, well, actually, that goes to show that now is not the right time to get rid of David Moyes, because the managers that people don't want the jobs that are coming up for grabs. They're waiting for it. There was a lot of talk Tuchel's waiting for the England job, or waiting to see what Southgate does after the World Cup, and that he's going to hang around in London till then to see if that becomes vacant and stuff. So it's very, very hypothetical, these discussions. Now, I won't discuss who I want to see come in. You can. I won't, because I don't like doing it. I think it's disrespectful. If it gets to the point where it's obvious he's going to get sacked, i.e. Gerrard at Aston Villa, then I understand it, and I think it becomes more of a discussion. But at this point, Gonzo, I don't feel he is going to get sacked. I don't think he's close to getting sacked, and therefore I don't really want to discuss it. Sometimes people do videos and say, I didn't want to have to make this video, but I kind of do. I think, well, you didn't have to. And So for that reason, I don't want to discuss it. But what I am willing to discuss is what could make me Moyes out, if you like. What would get me to the point where I would like to see David Moyes sacked. But if you wish to discuss replacements, you can do. It just goes against my principles, if you like.
No, well, I think I made that clear at the start of the video. I'm uncomfortable doing it. I think the other thing is as well, the one manager I looked at for a long time, I thought, okay, because I like succession planning, and I like people with a long-term strategy, and I always liked Graham Potter. But my argument was, there's no point. You can't just airlift him in and drop him in at West Ham, because he had a whole club built around him. Now I think that's very different to him going into Chelsea, because I think it's already built for him to succeed there. But a club like West Ham, we'd almost have to change everything that wasn't in place before David Moyes arrived, and that David Moyes has put in place since then. Basically, we're not set up to play in the way that Potter was. And I think the moment he went, I couldn't really think of anyone. And even him, I wasn't even that convinced by.
I will confess, there is one person in particular that if Moyes did go, I hope we go for. I just don't wish to discuss it, because I don't feel we're there yet. But what I do agree with, what you've just said, which is succession planning.
This video is sponsored by the OneFootball app, which is a lot better app than the TwoFootball app or the ThreeFootball app, by the way. But those are not the only reasons to download the OneFootball app. Well, firstly, it's free. What you got to lose? If you don't like it, just get rid of it off your phone. But the main reason that I think anyway, because it is a fantastic app, is that you can tailor it to your own specifications. What do I mean by that ridiculous term? Well, I'll tell you what I mean. If you don't want to hear about all the generic Premier League football stories and you just want West Ham news, then you tell it so, because the app will ask you your support. You just say, I support West Ham, and what it does, the app goes around all the newspapers, all the various generic websites, and cherry picks all the West Ham stories, puts them all into one place, and chucks it straight to your phone. If you're going to download it and you haven't done so already, please use the link below, and then they'll know you've come from Hammers Chat.
I would like to think these conversations are being held at the board level at West Ham United quite regularly, actually. Even if Moyes is doing well, I'd like to think that between two or three of them, they're keeping an eye on who would be the man to replace David Moyes should anything ever happen. That could be a drastic downturn in form. It could be that Moyes walks in tomorrow and says, I'm off. I've had a better offer. I don't want to be here anymore. What are you going to do? And I like the idea of stability, and you know who you're going to go get. Just like I'd like to think that Moyes and Newman have a succession plan for every single player at the football club, including Declan Rice, including Gianluca Scamacca, players I don't want to see leave, but just in case, they know exactly. You never want to be caught short. And I think you have to have that at boardroom level as well. And this is why the appointment of Mark Noble is going to be quite interesting, because this is his job. Mark Noble's job is now to ensure there's a succession plan in place for David Moyes, ensure that there's a succession plan in place for Kevin Nolan. The last 2 summers, we've had coaches leave, big coaches at West Ham. We've had Stuart Pearce leave. We've had Alan Irvine leave. If that happens again, we need to know who we're going to go get. There needs to be a plan that we're going to go get this person. It might be Gary McAllister, now out of a job because of what's happened at Aston Villa. David Moyes, I assume, would maybe know him or know somebody that knows him. Certainly Vigard is quite a good coach. So is he somebody that's on this thing? So I agree with succession planning. And I do think it's important we've got that in place, so that if Moyes was to leave tomorrow, we know which manager we were going to go after. And like I said, there's a name I've got that I would hope that's the one we go after. It's not Pochettino or Tuchel.
That's right. I know it is, but we don't have to.
Know it is.
No, we don't have to discuss that at all. But do you think? Because I'd rather do it in this way anyway.
Yeah.
You clearly you're cross with David Moyes.
Yeah.
Bearing in mind, look, if you haven't seen Geo's video, I know lots of you already have. Go and see what was it titled? No points in 60 or sorry.
Yeah, I don't know. Charlie does my titles for me. He's a bit more of a YouTube expert than I am. I do the video and leave it to Charlie do the thumbnail and title. But 0 wins in 69 games away to Man U, Liverpool, Chelsea, and Arsenal in Premier League across his whole career. That was the. Yeah,
I'll try and remember to put it in and say if I don't, go over to the main Hammers Chat channel. It'll be 1 or 2 videos ago. Be a video before the Bournemouth preview, won't it? So go and have a look at that. Basically, Geo's very disappointed in as much as he thinks it's the same old when we play the top 6 clubs away from home. And what Geo's argument is basically we only have 32 games a season to accrue enough points to get to wherever we want to go, be it avoiding relegation or getting into Europe and whatnot.
Someone pointed out it's only 30 games after Brighton.
It's true. I know, and he's right. I thought it when you were saying it. I was watching it, Brighton as well. But we do. I do think we swing from this, and I just mean as a fan base, from actually, whatever, 4 wins in a row or whatever it was, and then we go and get the draw against Southampton, which, as you know, I didn't mind. I was saying in the review afterwards, I'm not that arsed about it, to be honest with you, because I felt that there were mitigation. I thought the defence, he did pretty much all he could do. The one argument for playing Declan in central defence, I thought was sort of thrown out by the point that he scored that wonderful goal anyway. So I gave him not a free pass, but I thought we'd let that go. And then the Liverpool one, well, you can make reasons why we lost to Liverpool, and they are a good team. But I also take your argument as well. I just think sometimes we swing from us doing all right to, it's almost, basically a 1-1 draw and a 1-0 loss, and it's Moyes out again. So tell me, what do you think would lead to him going then? I
can only speak for me here, because there's some people that want him gone. Clearly, yes. The comments, there's some people that want him gone. There's some people that are very Moyes in. And like I said in another video, a different one, what even is Moyes in? What does that even mean? But regardless, there's people that are happy with him. There's people that are unhappy with him. I'm in the middle, and I think I've always been in the middle, which is, his football's boring. It doesn't excite me, not really. There's been some games where I think we've played really well. Yeah. But playing really well doesn't always necessarily mean really entertaining. I think there's efficiency, then there's entertaining. I think sometimes it's efficient, and at times it is entertaining, but it's few and far between. Especially this 2022 is a calendar year. There's not been many examples of it. If you take away the 2 obvious games against Sevilla and Lyon, there's not that many games where I thought, oh, wow, that was a fantastic, thrilling game of football to watch. I'm glad I watched that. But for me personally, it goes back to the trophy. I want to win a trophy. I believe Moyes is taking the competition seriously, and that buys a hell of a lot of kudos with me. It really does, because I've seen better managers than Moyes here just miss the trophies. Oh no, we're going to focus on the Premier League, thank you. And I've never understood this whole let's focus on the league, try to get European football, and then just miss European football. It's bonkers, really. It doesn't really make sense. But while Moyes gives trophies, he tries to win them, not takes them serious. I'm done with taking it serious. I'm wanting to win it now. Yeah. And I do believe he tried to win the Europa League. And to be fair, I do believe he tried to win the League Cup and the FA Cup as well. We just weren't good enough on the day. And sometimes he gets it wrong. Sometimes Moyes is the reason we lose that tie. But it doesn't mean that he didn't try to win it. He just got it wrong. And it's a bit like Southampton away. Do I believe Moyes tried to win that game? Yeah, do you know what? I do. He just didn't get it right on the day. The game plan wasn't good enough. His substitutions weren't good enough, and they were too late. Story of Moyes' career, really. But I think he wanted to win that game. I just didn't feel he'd done it. So while he goes for the trophies, I think there will always be a large part of me that is okay with him as manager. I think, he's taken us back-to-back European campaigns this season. I don't think we'll get relegated. Do I think we'll finish in the top 8? Probably not. At the minute, I think we're looking between 10th and 12th, maybe in that bracket, which fluctuates every single game. We beat Bournemouth at Poy Stadium. We lose against Bournemouth, I might be thinking 11th to 13th. It moves as the data increases. But that's still like stability. And I think a lot can be said for that. And it's something that we've been lacking for quite a while, actually, just staying away from relegation battles. So I'm okay with him as manager at the minute. I think he's doing an okay job. He's not doing a good one. He's not doing a bad one. I think he's just doing all right. And when I look at other clubs of similar stature, like Aston Villa and Leicester City, I think, well, actually, it turns out, okay, it's not that bad. No. So, yeah, I think I'm okay with him. But it's... The problem for Moyes is with a lot of fans is it's thin ground, and I think it's just people are just getting a bit fed up now. They're getting fed up hearing the same things. They're getting fed up of seeing the same football. You put up with it for a little while, but he's been here in 3 years now. Just under 3 years he's been here. That's a long time. And in Premier League football, that is a long time. The average Premier League manager gets 14 months. He's outlived that times 2. That is a long, long time. He speaks about a transition. I'm not seeing it, really. I think his actions don't always back up his words. That's my biggest issue. Identifying an issue, brilliant, nice one, Davey, sort it. But he continues to have that issue, despite the fact he's spoken publicly about that issue. Or he'll speak about a player being in good form, but then doesn't play him. And I just think sometimes he contradicts what he says. That's my biggest frustration. But the fact he's going after a trophy, Gonzo, it just holds a lot of weight for me as a fan.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. I really do, and I don't have massive fear for us getting relegated this season. But I also do understand the frustrations. But it is for all the reasons I've said. It's not something I'm particularly comfortable with. I also want to probably make the point that I think a lot of the negativity that we hear is often not mirrored by particularly the away support, the people that go to every home game and every away game. I don't see that same sort of demand. I think there's been times when basically the internet was saying get David Moyes out, and the fans were singing we got Super David Moyes. So I do think there is.
Yeah, but this is a different argument now. It's two different things, Gonzo. It's two different things. Sometimes if I do like a negative video, I say negative. I did that video. Some people say, "Oh yeah, but the fans are but we're supporting the manager." It doesn't mean you want him there. You turn up.
Yeah.
On the day, you support your manager. Just like Aaron Creswell doesn't actually wear a magic hat, disappointingly. He doesn't wear a magic hat, but we'll still sing it because we're supporting Aaron Creswell. I think there's a big difference between holding an opinion and showing support. It's two completely separate things as far as I'm concerned. I never wanted David Moyes to stay after his first tenure. I didn't want him to stay. I made my mind up pretty early. But there was a song about Moyes. I'd still sing it to support the manager. I want him to do well. I don't want Pablo Finau to start against Bournemouth, Gonzo, but if he does, I want him to do well. I want him to score. I want him to be man of the match.
Yes.
Having an opinion and having support is two different things.
But then you get accounting, and that's why if you see it on these channels, we will get annoyed when somebody, a West Ham fan, says, I want West Ham to lose, so as Fornals gets kicked out of the team, so as David Moyes loses his job. That's a stretch too far. When the moment you want your club to lose, and it's something that I speak with Geo here, so that we certainly don't subscribe to on this channel at all. Well, there you go. Bearing in mind we didn't really want to talk about it. I guess
you didn't really answer the question.
No. Well, look. I think I'll see what I will answer that question. Number one, there's nobody that I look at and want to come in at the moment anyway. Number two, I want David Moyes to stay. And number three, I don't think we're half as attractive as other people think we are. So I think people say get rid of David Moyes, and you've already seen it. I didn't know that news, but if Pochettino and Tuchel are both turning down Aston Villa have got bucket loads of money, and they got some good players there. They got good senior players. They got good young players coming through. They got goal scorers. There's a lot going on. There's a lot to like about that club, and whoever goes in there has got a big budget. Yeah, Tuchel and Pochettino are both turning up their nose at that job.
Apparently.
So make no mistake about it. It's not like West Ham sacked David Moyes and then Pochettino's all starry-eyed. Pochettino's probably got a completely different sense of self-worth now. This is not the Pochettino that was at Southampton. It was probably, would have been looking to make a name for himself. He's now been manager of Paris Saint-Germain and probably feels that he should still be manager of Paris Saint-Germain. I'd be disappointed if he didn't. You've got to have an ego and you've got to like yourself. You may well find that a lot of these managers that a lot of people want feel West Ham is beneath them, in the same way that they might feel Aston Villa is beneath them. I think the other thing is once you go beyond that, you may well be taking a very risky gamble indeed. And as Geo pointed out, that doesn't always work out because we've already seen that Wolves have got a good team, good set of players. Their manager's gone. Aston Villa, I've just mentioned it, their manager's gone. So I do think it's so who would come in? I don't know. I'll tell you one thing I will say, and we'll answer this for Geo as well, just to answer the question as precise as we can. Geo, you said you thought that they would appoint Sean Dyche. Who would the board do? You said you thought they'd appoint Sean Dyche. I did. There
was a question on Patreon or something. I said, who do you think the board would get? Sean Dyche. And I stand by that, actually. I think because for Moyes to get sacked, we would be in the relegation zone. We would be in a we're not in a relegation battle. Moyes doesn't get sacked, as far as I'm concerned. Therefore, if Moyes is sacked, we're in a relegation fight. And then I think there's only one man I can see the board turning to, and that's Sean Dyche.
There you go. That's what Geo thinks the board will do. So before somebody says, "Can't believe you want Sean Dyche," Geo, I can't believe Geo wants Sean Dyche. Do you know what? Write it anyway. But anyway, if there's one thing we've learned, it's that songs shouldn't be taken literally. So Dimitri Payet is not better than Zidane. Aaron Cresswell doesn't wear, apparently, a magic hat. So, of course, stands to reason that Frank Lampard isn't fat.